Welcome, one and all, to episode 52 of Peace Talk. This is the Peace Dealer, and gonna get the show on the road. I feel like timing is essential, timing is divine, and this is happening at the right time. So, with that being said, please welcome Philip. How are you doing, man? Thank you for joining us.
Thank you for having me, Michael. I mean, what an absolute pleasure to be joined by an angel such as yourself and to share this space in, as you say, this divine opportunity.
Yes, no, definitely, definitely. Um, yeah, how are you, man? How are you personally feeling right now?
I am exhilarated and in the moment and out the moment, because sometimes when you're most in the moment, you are completely imaginating and conspiring, and you're in anxiety and exhilaration of excitement. And I say that for many reasons. Not just because I'm joined by one of my heroes, one of my leaders in this field, but also by someone who inspires me, who creates from their own heart, from their own legendary, unique perspective. And in these times, in these exciting, unique times of transformation, this is exactly where we feel. We feel anxious, we feel present, we feel lost, we feel that we're not at home, but yet we're exactly where we need to be. And I'm here with you. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for definitely agreeing to do this call as well. Um, with this increasing knowledge of astrology, I started to respect very profoundly, there's that word again, the 29-degree transits of the sun or really any planet. And, the sun is 29 degrees Scorpio. Um, I'm very, I'm kind of very amazed at everything that's kind of finishing this transit. I'm so excited for Sagittarius. So, how do you feel about that? What do you take away from this peak of
Wow.
consciousness?
The encapsulation of the now, but yet the now also includes every yesterday and every tomorrow. So it is flabbergasting just to think about it. But you're completely right. This is the pineal moment when we go into our center, into our pineal gland, and we find the truth of the now. And the truth of the now is the truth of Sagittarius and the truth of our shadow, where we're coming from, where we hold within us, where we are present within at every moment. But yet we're on a journey. We look towards our horizons and how they're expanding, and how we can each use each other's truth to find the gap, the gap between where which we miss when we're with ourselves. And yet with each other, we can find that almost unattainable point of view without each other. And so those horizons do get expanded, and sometimes it's treacherous, and sometimes it's hellacious, and sometimes it's beautiful, and sometimes it's magnificent. And sometimes we lose ourselves all along the journey. And this is like the fool's journey, something I'm only just learning about now. Like I say all this just from spiking my mouth and seeing what comes out of it. But tarot is something quite new to me. And I've really admired it as an astrologer, how you encapsulate the tarot and an astrology. And so I've been learning about how the fool's journey is actually just another page on the same journey, and how
Yeah.
we can encapsulate each one of us to each one of those pages to gain perspective.
And I mean, the energy's shifting so much, like my body's barely catching up with it in whatever that really means. But still it's quite exciting to explore how meaning itself will shift for the world at large. Although, I mean, I'm just more interested in finally. I'm sorry. My eye literally just wandered to the word reveal. So it's like my
This
my
is it. This is it.
my
You're encouraging the reveal. It's so tough even for the most vulnerable, even for the most excited to reveal themselves.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, like a yogurt pot. We're just going to peel back that layer and lick that cream off the top. Because that cream at the top is almost the most, like, yummy bit. It's like, the gossip.
Yeah. Very well put. Yeah. And it's like, oh, I like that way of being put because I guess in a certain sense, you know, there's a huh, how do I even say it? There's what you've heard about what's happening, and then there's actually the source material. But I'm sorry, I think I've been misleading by saying it's something we're stepping into. I kind of get the sense where it's been a lot of blending. Like we've been caught in between the middle realm, and Saturn and Sagittarius just kept everything up in the air, and now we're ready to it's all ready to come together and
Yeah. That the lessons weren't in a order of particular learning. They were this and that, as you say, up in the air. They were the lessons of the sky and the ether. And so they didn't really come together in a particular order. They were like a quagmire. And so as we've gone through this past few years, these past 3 years, and even since the summer of 2014, that was when Saturn first went into Sagittarius before it retrograded back into Scorpio. So, we were dealing with this partnership of the now again reiterated Scorpionic energy, which is with us, and especially with the Sun leaving that bit towards the end, the final decan, where Saturn would have retrogressed back into towards the end of 2014. So we're looking at a gargantuan recall, total recall, as Arnie might call it.
total
How do you
re.
deal with three breasts lactating in your face with Mars exploding everywhere? Well, that's basically what we're feeling right now.
Damn. I especially want to put emphasis on recall because I just kind of get this feeling with the South Node and Aqua. It's just like information. It's like there's a lot of people who have conscious awareness and they're trying to access their subconscious memories, but it's like blocked. And it's like they're recalling it, if anything. Definitely appreciate. Uh-oh. I think we're getting mildly interviewed. Oh no, we're back. We're back.
Cool. We're safe. We're present. We can be patient if needs be. All good.
Hello? Can you hear?
Hello. I can hear you.
Oh,
Are
for
we good with
sure.
everybody else?
Yeah, some people. Okay, okay, we're good. So, um, I guess before I guess before we get carried away, because I know you.
Fluctuations of the authenticity.
Yeah. Um, what is what is your sun, moon, and rising anyone who for everyone who wants to it to be revealed or wants to know?
That's the perfect place to pick up some pieces. And I have a Libra rising with a Libra moon. And I also have a Capricorn fourth house.
A Capricorn fourth house.
Capricorn fourth house sun, yes.
Okay, 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 okay.
Which is a
And,
lovely polarity and it fits in with the Libra, you see.
oh no, definitely. Um, and one thing that I really appreciate with my recent contact with you is the usage of whole sign system that you employ while also kind of taking into account other systems. What do you what does it feel like to be a fourth house Capricorn? How does that like how because that would kind of flip everything opposite each other. So
It is to be completely vulnerable about it. It feels quite guarded, but it feels quite aloof. But maybe the aloofness comes from other areas of my chart, I would say. That comes from my third house. But as a sunshine, as a radiant creative energy, it comes from a very protective place of being proud of what I'm going to put out and wanting it to be of good value and substance, but also being quite squeamish in case it's not, in case somebody thinks it's wrong. But I also see the value in having, you know, entities that are against what you might prescribe yourself to want to put out there, because that elevates the message as well.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We could talk about entities all day. But
Oh yes, they're part of it.
wow.
Yeah, I know that wowed me. That wowed me.
Oh wow. That's cool. Um anyway, yeah, let's try this again. Let's try this again. Um
We connected.
yeah, there's like heavy energy currents that are like glitching right now. Certainly. But anyway,
The
despite
recordings thick and through, aren't they? They're progress.
no, definitely. If anything, how do you feel this like entity energy is evolving? Because just like there's like a greater sense of positivity shifting, it's like there's also that other awareness. I see it as an opportunity, but what's
I see. Like maybe you could suggest that if you get remember a bug's life, and there's like millipedes with hundreds of little legs, millions. They're called millies. So they got millions of little legs, and we're each little leg. And the higher entity are these bigger bugs. And for instance, each one of us have a multitude of different bugs of a fortitude of different sizes and awarenesses. And they're each running through us, not in a scary way, in a highly intelligent, sometimes very beneficial manner. And so which we're not aware of that for our own good, because that's a bit too much. And so much so, as you would say, maybe, that it might be, if we could find a mechanism to work with that, very useful, to find an allegory, as we've discussed before, or to find a religion, or to find a philosophy, a love of this. What is this? This is wisdom. Magic of the kingdom.
damn?
Damn, it's the, yeah, I agree.
Well, there you go. Um, it's just a little bit kind of crazier because like everything you're saying, we're literally like processing right now. I don't think people who are watching realize what the hell is going on like this very moment, but
Conjuring from source.
there's some conjuring for sure. It is what it is though, but oh, by the way, let me give you, do you have the link to the actual video?
The video.
Yeah, my bad. The actual live. Just so you could uh
Mm.
I'm gonna message that.
No, I prefer not. I
Oh, I
won't
got
watch back to it
cool.
because I've
Cool.
actually got two Wi-Fi's, one which is going straight through my mobile network and one which is going through the hotel where we're staying. And I haven't got the key for that yet, but we're
Oh,
good.
well, anyway, other than that, you know what I'm saying? You are a Capricorn, you do have the Libra energy, which is cool to see the dynamic shift between those both those cardinals. What do you feel about, Pluto that's transiting your sun? How is what's it like to kind of have that like
And
potency?
it was actually very early on that Pluto transited my sun, because I've got a 3-degree sun of Capricorn. So it
Mhm.
must have been about 2009, 2010. It takes about 18 months for the back and forth. And I like to see the back and forth of Pluto as, you know, how you're making a picture with a printer, and it goes with inkjet. It goes back and forth, back and forth, back and forth, and then you get a magnificent HD presentation
Yeah.
of the new image. And that's a bit what like Pluto does. It's rebirthing the soul with a new integration of awareness. I mean, you
Uh,
won't get it twice in a lifetime. You're lucky to get it once in one
you're
area
looking to
of
get it
your
once.
lifetime.
Yes, you're very right. That's very true.
And so for me, I had it, unfortunately, I mean, I didn't say unfortunately, I mean, it's fortunately, and sometimes it can seem unfortunately in that present, um, in 2008. And that certainly wasn't actually one of the most saddened times of my lives. Um, for instance, like my biggest bereavements were bookends of that, previous to that by a few handfuls of years. But it's almost like the numbness in between, the most stripping of awareness, stripping of who I was as a creative being, because it was my son. I mean, we are the whole of the sky. We are all of the entities, all the luminaries. We are the sun, the moon, Venus. We are Mars. We are Saturn. You know, we are Jupiter. We are all of these entities. So, to concentrate on sun sign astrology is but a media, a mediocrity, as you know, because you always like to present in your astrology readings, which I learned through you very much, how to convolute and include uh, the ascendant, the moon, and the sun sign as we listen to both astrology and tarot predictions, because they're both great tools of divination.
Amazing. I just kind of feel also with like the the invisible currents that like block and also allow in different energy auras. There's a simultaneous like blending of both, but then also kind of blocking of others. Tried my best to put that into words right now, but the Neptune is going direct very shortly. So,
Mm.
how does what do you feel that really has much to?
Well, firstly, I often find that listening to the way that you do articulate these energies really helps me understand myself at such a greater level. And secondly, with Neptune going direct, yeah, absolutely flabbergasting. It always seems to be the bookend, you know? I mean, the bookend, which seems to topple for a whole week each time, whether it's going direct or retrograding. It's like a falling of what has come for such a long time. And these are our false illusions, our false misconceptions, very much so. There's always a false misconception because more than a manifestation of what we thought was.
Yeah.
And so it's like learning about where we fall short ourselves, because these are mirrors. What is our truth about ourselves? And we shove it right down the throats of all of those that we love. And we receive those same things again at the same time. So it's quite a tumultuous kind of vortex, and everything's a vortex in some vast majority or another. So it's learning, again, we're learning together how to actually use astrology. I think we're actually getting the opportunity in these decades to vastly shape it through how we understand these vortexes.
Neptune literally tried to troll you right now. I know it cut out for a second, but yeah, it's I really appreciate this because I think this experience is making real the archetypalization of these energies. I think this is the experience you share with other people too. Uh, Definitely a lot of seriousness. And when we talk about seriousness, you have Pluto and Saturn's going to come back to that sign too. Are you looking forward to that? How do you any word to other Capricorns watching like
Wow, I've actually I had been in multiple different perspectives about it. And it's good to hold more than one perspective, obviously, because then you don't hold yourself segment to one thing coming around and then being called short. So it's good to be a bit omnipresent with awareness, with allowing yourself these different vibrations to come forth, because whatever does come forth is for the best. Whatever does come forth was not meant to miss you, it's for your soul's growth.
Mm.
So radical acceptance is always on the prescription.
Nice.
It's not always easy to tap into, but it's certainly available. So, better that than go hungry.
True that.
So, once we can find that, whatever kind of escapism helps us along our way, be it drugs, be it cake, be it sex, whatever it might be. It might just be creation. We might decide to be a poet. We might decide to be an artist. We might decide to make a YouTube video. Who knows? But at the end of the day, as long as we find our ways out of it, we find ourselves discovering ourselves. And that's the healing. And it can be for our relationships with each other, but really the relationship that's best had is always going to be the one with ourselves, and that's going to be what's reflected through one another.
Amen.
So I love to see other guides and other reflections, and like you think you can untangle something, and you see something you completely don't relate to, but actually it's when you are with those that you most love, that you're most endeared to, that the ones that are most going to hurt you, your absolute truth, because you're like, how can that be me? Maybe.
Damn, that's so true.
um, yeah.
That's very true. Well, I mean, for another question for those who are new to you, how did you get on this spiritual path? And what
Fantastic.
really inspired you to walk this? But then also, did you have like this mystical moment where, and it doesn't have to be so exaggerated, but was there this like one moment where things clicked into?
I I can go in. I'm going to try and keep it steady, but also it's going to be pretty Gemini because there's a few different points to cover. Jeez Louise, thank you very much. But like that's a big one. I would say if you were going to talk in a linear format, it would go something along the lines of when I was very much young, youngster. Before this is also as an observational astrologer as well now. And so, with my chart, I was brought into the world by my mother, who planned to have me because she had had a baby taken from her, a 4-year-old youngster,
Wow.
who was autistic. And so, well, she was actually replaced by the opportunity to have me. Yeah, and that was pretty cool because she had had an operation to stop her from having children after she had had the misfortune, or if you say the soul's journey, of losing her child. So I was an organised baby, which was done through an affair. So there you go. That's majestic. And the father, my father, stayed with the family. However, my mother was gifted with the opportunity of having life again. Me, an opportunity, and I was my moon in the first house. This gives me a great opportunity to say, Mike, my gosh, I love your video of moon in the first house. I mean, I feel and it's so true. I really resonate with your video on that. It's a great art example of how we just talk about how we feel. But anyway, I'm going to continue with that. It's a very good one.
No, appreciate it.
Um,
And I almost, oh, my bad. Go ahead.
no. Go on, please.
No, I was really just gonna add a little bit to the moon in the first house video because you kind of gave it life again, but it was fun to make.
I mean, like, I didn't mean to legitimize it just to that, but that was the bit that really tickled my humor. The whole thing was so on point. That's why I was resonating. I was in awe. I was like, this guy is talking about me. And it's because it really made me, as an astrologer, have deeper awareness as well. Because I'm a Libra, first house. Everybody who starts to study astrology knows what their first house is by their ascendant. But when you really start to learn about your ascendant, you really learn that you're dealing with the qualities of Aries, and you're dealing with the fact that you're dealing with the fire, and you're dealing with me, and it's damn well assertive, and you're going to just go out there and do it. And if you've got the moon there, then you're going to talk about your feelings, and sometimes that's actually very beautiful. And my experience as a moon in the first house can be very magnificent, and it can be very painful because when you assert yourself, Aries, the phallus, the penis, you can get that thing cut off,
Yeah.
severed, chop. And so you talk about your feelings and they can be cut off, but also it's a very vulnerable, powerful position that allows people to be heard, and you can actually stand for groups, you can stand for yourself. And that vulnerability is like, as you say, I've seen you articulate within talks about RPG. If you was to say that a vulnerability, a shield of vulnerability, that's a great strength. And it's very hard to cut down because you're being your truth, you're being authentic.
Yeah.
Um, so what was your question? Was it about the positions? So that would be the having the moon in the first house. Having a Libra ascendant is, yes, you do always find. I've also got the South Node in Libra next
Mm.
to my moon and ascendant, so I can tell you this better than many, if not as good as many. Not better, because we're all as good as each other. We've all got a great message, each one of us. Nobody is better than one another. We're all magnificent and glorious. And so, Libra ascendant will often find that they're willing to find the balance always. I mean, that sounds obvious, but they can find the sense that they're compromised themselves because they're looking to find the balance for the better good of the team or the relationship or the situation.
Yeah.
I mean, they're like the ultimate alchemists. Their research can go
That's very true.
beyond.
That's very true.
The research can go beyond that. They're even not even sure of their own values because they're in the murky depths of that grey area of Scorpio. You see, and they can't quite see. We can't quite see because it's that illusion. It's a bit like, the Pisces energy, the Scorpio energy. I mean, how can you decipher from which was which? I mean, is there a group? Is there two? Who's there? No, it might just be one.
Who knows? Who really knows? That's that recurring
I
theme.
don't like labels.
Yeah, that too. That also.
So
Um,
finally, I can't quite tell you for the last aspect, apart from the sun, is like my sun is also quite conjunct Neptune. And I always read my chart with my third house. I see everything with my third house because it is an omnipresent awareness. So I just go joint, 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 joint. I'm not going to spend too much time thinking about one to another. It's a bit like Sherlock Holmes.
yeah.
I mean, but Virgo energy is almost like my hardest to work with. But if I use it really quickly as a journey, then it really leads me to every single answer I can possibly need in each moment.
Wow.
And so it's like I encourage people to use that because if they ask me about how I work with astrology, I say to follow the clues like breadcrumbs, and then you'll
Follow the,
find everything you might need.
follow the clues, not breadcrumbs. What's a good example of that? Like a good.
No, follow the clues like breadcrumbs.
Oh,
So
follow
it's
the clues like breadcrumbs. Okay, okay, okay. Cool, cool, cool.
because there's so firstly, if I'm reading a chart, what I will obviously you get most of you would go to the ascendant. That's what I would do. For instance, if I go to the ascendant and I'd find it's a 12 degrees ascendant of Gemini, for instance, I'm just making this up.
Mhm.
Then I would say, okay, well, you really like to go into the unknown, which is a 12 degree Piscean degree of finding perspectives, Gemini. And that would be the first thing I look for. And then the second thing I'd be like, is there any other luminaries in that house? And then are they opposing or making aspect to any of these other things, and what degrees are they at? And so, and also, I'd also check, okay, so we're dealing with the ascendant. Is there anything say it's at a 12th degree? Is there anything in the 12th house which is resonant to the ascendant? And if there's any planets in the 12th house, say there was Mars in the 12th house, you say, okay, well, Mars is in Taurus of the 12th house. So the value of getting assertive and holding multiple perspectives in the first house, we're starting to piece things together in a story here. We can. This story isn't necessarily got a beginning or an ending. It's all down to perspectives. But when you put the story across to a client, or to an individual or to ourselves, if we pick up the pieces along this journey, it becomes very receptive and an energy which we can work with.
Okay. Very true. Very true. Um, how else do you feel like most of the receptivity people get from others they talk to can blind how they perceive and project to others or really understand anything?
I think it's allowing ourselves to surrender
Okay.
because we hold ourselves captive to our own preconceptions.
Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
And so I think that in a good team, you could often find the friction is very stabilizing in a team, but it's the ability to take a step back and then recongress that allows the progression to continue.
Especially when there's that make or break point where they have to put their differences aside. Which, you know what? Ironically, I just keep getting that feel um in all the cycles of things that you that are coming back around, like um maybe in the form of soulmates or workmates, but just people who are usually classical enemies, like getting together this lifetime to
Totally.
actually.
Like I did an interview for somebody the other day, and I wasn't aware of their chart, and it turned out that their Pluto was on my South Node, and I found out when at the moment, and I was like, wow, that's a kind of strong energy. um, how's about that? And at the same time, I know that in relationships with other people that I work with, we've got like strong points in our charts, and myself and you, we do have connections too, as well as with my romantic relationships with my parents and my friends. I mean, we all deal with them,
Yeah.
and in this Scorpio time, which although we talk about just closing in a matter of hours, is actually just still been ignited by this new moon cycle, which happened a couple of days ago. So we're still dealing with a whole, at least another 3 weeks of how we're going to change our consciousness and how we're going to change our actions to deal with how we work with these energies.
Nice. No, it's kind of interesting because the whole general notion of people in certain like aspects being closed off to this energy, there almost seems to be like simultaneously a flip where it's like they're automatically accepting what they didn't want to embrace, but then also kind of like it's always been in the they've always kind of accepted it at the same time. I guess a way to put this into context is like it's like people's higher selves are merging with their lower selves, right? Like the part that always knew versus the part that like is finally coming into embracing it.
Yes, like I've got some magnificent example. You nailed it, basically. Um, it's the allowing the vision of ourselves that we want to put out there for ourselves to be received by other people, coming into the actual reality of who we are and what's going on for us. And that's the blunt sentence. And here's the truth. This is me. I'm fucking so thirsty. I'm gonna take you to get my water. You
Real.
can't even. And this is real. And you have to do this sometimes. Like you have to pop out of the room, you have to put your charger on. Sometimes people have got children they need to look after, or the postman arrives. You know, this is the shenanigans of life.
Oh yes.
And
And just to, or go ahead,
it's
go ahead.
okay. No, no, I was just going to end. It's okay.
Well, I was just to reiterate, like what just building up on everything you said, what is it that you can say solely inspired you to walk this path? Was it more self? Was it a decision you made, or who could you say really guided you? What influences?
I've got to say, I was very blessed in the fact that I did obviously have, as I've already mentioned, have this very awesome mother who had a multitude of different experiences within her life, which were massive. I think she was abandoned as a baby, and you know that's a big deal for a start. And so to be brought up as an orphan and then indoctrinated into another family is a whole experience, which I'm sure some of the viewers resonate with from a multitude of different perspectives themselves.
Mhm.
However, you know, this is all growth and everybody has their own relationship to reality, overcome in our own way. And so, magnificent applause to everybody who's doing their own stuff, whatever way that is. And for me to be inspired by my mother, who was a Pisces, I have my sun conjunct Neptune in the fourth house. And so,
Uh-huh.
my vision of myself, there you go. I've got great vision of who I would like to be perceived of, which I can get back to. But my vision of myself, truthfully, as I feel as it comes together for me, like how you vision a top of a pond and you see with oil on top, and so it comes together with bubbles, or you see like you see bits of it come together at once, and it might come together bigger or larger
Yeah.
at different times. And so, yeah, I feel like I'm coming together to be this more articulated version of myself, which I didn't wasn't aware of when I was younger.
Which is what I love
And
about. Oh, go ahead.
yeah, it's just I was just gonna say, and it's like I felt like I was much more aware of it when I was in my first decade, and I lost it through the teens. I lost it through the trauma of the
Mm-hmm.
teens. I lost it through the trauma of going through the world that wasn't ready for a soul, any of our souls. And I lost it, and that was a rebirth before Pluto came into Capricorn, because Pluto at that point would have been going through Scorpio still.
Wow.
Sorry, so through Sagittarius, which had been through my third house. So I was going through the educational system, and so it was actually that experience which was very much birthing me for a world of more confidence coming forward, of knowing who I was and what message I had to share. And that was one of damn well righteousness and saying that I will not stand for anything that doesn't work for this world. And I will voice my opinion and make it heard, regardless of how maybe it might need that seem that I can be a victim of that. You know, I learned to change that perspective because I was not. I don't think a victim is the most powerful position to take. That's the hangman, and that's giving yourself away for a message. There's a much more powerful position to assume than that. But that's not to say that that's not ground one itself.
Yeah. And that really leads into my next question, as far as like, what which you started to really answer, but what is it that you offer to the world? And not so much what is it that you offer to the world, but what is your special. Okay, the question I'm trying to ask is, what is like your superhero self? What is this special? I'm trying to say what you offer to the world, but just not in a boring way.
But you
It-
said it in a multitude of magnificent manners,
yeah.
and I can only say it by
Your
saying
quantum self. Who is your quantum self?
my quantum self is probably either the mirror that you didn't see or the mirror that you didn't want to see. So
Ah,
basically, it's the ultimate shifting perspective that's either going to show you the you that you fucking absolutely hate, or the you that you couldn't possibly presume yourself to be, the most magnificent version of yourself that you could almost doubt that you could make it to.
Hmm.
Because I will show you both. I will show you your ultimate. If I will tell you that you can make it better than the presumption of this not happy version of yourself that people assume that I've been in, that many people have resided in, that we all need to get to transform. That's depression.
Hmm.
When we have to compress so that we can birth anew, that's contraction, you
Hmm.
know? And we're all toroidal fields. The torus is the logos, the Lego piece for the universe. And this is the toroidal field that we are. We are a pulsating atom, as Santos Spinacci, Seven Bulmore, and many other have done some great works, have said, and I've studied myself, and many others share as well, that the logos, the atom, all is a tomb, and a tomb is a celebration of time. We're built of atoms, and they are this toroidal field. And we are those. So's the tree, so's the universe, so's the physical plane which we reside upon. As we learn to take care of ourselves and respect each part of ourselves, this as a dietary being, as a thought animating conductor
Yeah.
from our hearts, from our vessel, we learn to let go. One of the best bands that my girlfriend, who's in the bath, just the other room away, likes is Gwen Stefani's band. No doubt that many people might skip the meaning of the name of that band because no doubt is the way to get to your manifestations.
Oh, that's
No,
beautiful.
yes,
Yeah. No, I definitely can embrace that. Um, it's kind of amazing how we get to experience that next wave of conscience exploration. I could totally see like um you know how the secret came and just it's not like they spoke of anything that was new, but it was just this great wave of, oh, we can do this. I could totally see like a new game changing metaphysical train of thinking that's going to incorporate all this as well as like another technological game changer.
bingo, bingo, yes, and it's happening now. It's not happening in the future. It's the future is now,
Man.
and that is going to be not having to be patient for transits. It's not. We don't
Yeah.
have to wait for Uranus to go into Taurus because that is something which we already have started to prepare for. We don't have to worry about being late. We've missed
Yeah.
the boat. All of the ideas that we've seeded, all of the connections which we sometimes might even think have started to be uneasy, are actually pathways to our future organization of our manifestations.
I'm so sorry.
That's all
It's
right. I agree. I think that what we're birthing is new structures for education, or new structures to make finance, new technologies, as you say. You don't have to use the internet anymore. There's more platforms that connect people with their mobile numbers or with their multiple different things that I don't know about, gifts or sexual devices. I don't know what they are. Stick it up your ass. It might even connect you another way, which we've never even found out. It might just be humming in a certain frequency that all brings us together. That we might find these might be natural technologies that we don't even need to incorporate devices within. These might be coming to our own devices. Oh, a beautiful phrase that would be, to reignite and come to.
yeah.
Bring it to each other. Maybe each one of us here in this video will come up with something that's magnificent, which we can all contribute as a community. And I think that's actually the truth of the matter. And we really congregate because we're actually all got many gifts, and each one of us is a piece to this puzzle. And it's
Hallelujah.
not really a puzzle we have to figure out. No, exactly. Hallelujah. Embrace. Just dance with it. Like, exactly. Surrender.
Yeah. I didn't realize how like easy surrendering is and at the same time how hard it is and how like Something so simple could reveal how stubborn the ego does not want to surrender. Like
Yeah,
God.
like the tradition of Capricorn, the tradition of Saturn. We're living in a Saturnian world. And yet there's nothing wrong with tradition. Tradition should be celebrated. I mean, I am a Capricorn, you've got a Capricorn moon, I'm a Capricorn sun, and yet we've all got Capricorn in our charts. And not to say tradition and rigidity is a bad thing. It gives us stability, but at the same time, we do need to celebrate the ability to change within that.
Yeah.
With Pluto there, I mean, it's going down at the moment. Pluto is just squared my nodes, and it's going to go over my IC in the next 2 weeks, and that's calling for what I require in this world and what I intend to bring. And you asked me initially, and here's the final point on that. And that's, yes, I came in with this energy. I got a few. I went through a divorce, as many of us did. When I was 8 years old, I think I might have been molested. I definitely was, but how long it went on was a, a variation to how which I want to go into it, or at least with myself. However, I stood up for myself in the early 10 years old period. I mean, I stood up to the authority within that experience, and I think that's a very Pluto and Scorpio scenario. It's not, oh, bloody hell, Philip's getting his trumpet out, he's celebrating. It's actually each one of us has stood up for ourselves in a small way when we were really young, and we knew that we were powerful then, and we knew that we could overcome, and we all knew that from a very young age. And it's actually something which we carry with us, and we're now doing it again as ourselves as adults, so that we can affiliate and we can show that we're deserving and make the change that we see within the structures which haven't emotionally supported us as we get indoctrinated into this North Node in Cancer, which is oncoming in just over a year from now. And so, as the nodes go over my IC, I encourage emotional intelligence to be incorporated in every structure. This is my biggest woe. Bullies? No, no, no. No, no, no. You'll be ridiculed, sunshine. You'll be made the bully because you'll have the biggest mirror shone back on you.
Mm.
Anything like that in any structure, be it
Pro-
your personal relationships, be it with your parents, be it with your family, be it with your bosses, be it with your lovers, be it with your children. That's the truth. And we each do it to each other, whether we like it or not, because that's the astrology that plays through of us.
Definitely. I really feel like that whole theme of mirroring itself, as we've been talking about, is evolving and advancing in its own special way to where it's just impossible to like not feel naked or vulnerable in front of people who can see. And it's like encouraging more authenticity.
Yes, definitely. I mean, like it gives people, as a Libra. I mean, I don't want to go on about Libras. I mean, I'm sure there's 12% of the crowd which are really resonating with that. But at the end of the day, we're known as flaky. I mean, like especially Alyssa Sharp, she tapped into that. Like we're known as the flakes. Shall we? Shan't we? Shall we bother? Or we just end up staying at home? That kind of scenario, and that's very often the case with many decisions the Libra centric person might have to make on our charts. So where are we learning to make decisions in a more justified manner and find balance within the whole of our lives? We've all got Venus, we've all got Taurus, and these are all values. You can't just have wonky values. We can't just have wonky identities. We can't just have wonky perspectives. We've got to find balance in every area of our life. And so we're looking to become whole.
Yep. And I think the most freeing part of that process is realizing the stuff you look outside of yourself to make you whole. It, you know, really just reflects that you had it all along. Carrie Martin has asked in a live chat, can Philip talk about his twin flame relationship?
Yeah, of course. Well, here we go. Like I met my partner on the internet. I think that we all have multiple twin flame relationships, first of all. I wouldn't want to get people hung up and thinking that they should be personalized on a criterion for what the twin flame relationship actually is.
Hmm.
Because it's segregation, separation
Yeah.
to do so. And we're
Yeah.
all unique and they happen in a multitude of different manners. So, the most important relationships in my lives are with my dearest friends and with my parents and my lovers, you know. They're the ones that hold the biggest reflections to us. And so they're the ones that we learn the most through. And so with my twin flame relationship with my partner, Julie is currently staying with me in this hotel, and we're very fortunate to share presence with each other. We first initially met online in 2015. I had been making videos myself for about 4 years on YouTube at that point, and we met in a group of another YouTube character called Ryan Swain. He
Hmm.
did a very cool video. Have a little
What's his
Google, mate.
zodiac sign?
Uh, I don't know, but he's Pisces sun. He's Pisces
Oh,
sun, but he's got such a strong Leo energy. It's
hmm.
almost intimidating to those who don't have that much Leo. And
Hmm.
maybe that's just me because I I myself had to grow into Leo energy very much over those past couple of years, and it's something I've become a lot more acclimatized towards and bask within. However, like yeah, he's a great teacher. He was a Christian again, and he was learning to break free of these Christian rules and regulations,
Hmm.
so much so that he could never embrace astrology, from what I could tell. But he had a great message of freedom and standing for your authenticity and truth and who you are and your values and love yourself. Don't hand yourself short to anyone. These kinds of things, and going into the fucking absolute rawness, no matter how embarrassing or ridiculous as it may seem, it's your biggest opportunity to heal. And shunning away from these fearful moments, these wounds, is literally just shunning the fast route to the top of our healing. You know, the zip line to the top of the mountain, as a Capricorn goat might want to know, who's on a healing spree. And so, and you can't stop. Can't stop because we're all so wounded as souls. That doesn't mean that we're separate, segregated, or like victims. It's just being blunt and honest because we've come through this chain for so many times that actually it's the healing that we come here to do that allows us to advance in the next life. This is a waiting room. This is for gods. This is a womb. This reality.
The
This is
reality is the
womb for
wound.
the womb with a B.
Oh, the
WOMB.
womb. Okay. Yeah. Yeah.
And we come in here to advance ourselves in like a practice, like a waiting room,
Yeah. Yep.
as gods, as co-creators.
Hmm.
And it's our wounds which are our mirrors, and they are our route to salvation. And we
Hmm.
look at our anatomy, you know, which is a reflection of the universe, and it's the as we don't take selfish routes and eat each other and ourselves by our thoughts and negations and our
Yeah.
actions, that we give our opportunity to salvation, because this is literally anatomy with the salvation. What's it? Jim Carrey's been talking about it quite a lot recently as well. Santos Bonacci's been talking about it. This is no secret for those unless they want to put their head in the sand. This is great information, and for me, I get quite excited about it. I often find I'm battered down by sharing it, so it's quite hard to articulate. And I'm sure a lot of people can resonate with this.
Hmm.
And to breathe and to slow down helps.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, as we remember that actually we are temples of God consciousness, and in our pineal gland, we have every month as the sun transits our sun, we have a jewel of Christ consciousness released from our sun that goes down our spinal cord, down to our scorpionic zone eventually, to our genitalia, a genistration where we get to procreate. And then, as long as we're keeping a diet within our integrity, as long as we're talking within our own integrity, which is still a polarity, darkness and light, vibrational. It doesn't mean it's one way or another, as long as with our own contradiction, not within contradiction of ourself, within our own integrity, we rise that seed, we rise it right back up to our parabia. Pardon me, I'm not a language specialist. I'm still mastering this. It's still my Saturn return. So as it goes back up to the crown, back up to our spine, we illuminate, and that's back where our moon, our lunar sign is. Once we've done that whole journey, each month we get the opportunity to become illuminated, and it's not exactly easy, and it's not to say that people don't do it. People do it. They live like it, and that's what monks set out to do. This is what we all used to do. This is only information which has recently, in the past couple of centuries, been taken from us from using as an everyday kind of way of being. And it was when witches were burned and astrology books were taken, and the pagan wisdom of the European language before many of the churches and religions took over society, that this rich, natural, I say natural because it's information of the land with the human body, the land with the reality, the nature of this reality, the mechanics of the reality that we live within, our body being the center of every universe. It's a hall of mirrors, baby, and you're the center of it. And we all project it upon each other. It's a magnificent display of madness. I can't put a word on it because that's what it is. It's too much.
No, it's a lot indeed,
But it's
and
divine.
it's very divine. And to just reiterate on that Christos activation of the seed coming up and down, is that something? I know it's something that can happen once a month. Is it like a 2 to 3 day process where the moon goes through where your moon is, your sun sign is, or is it a whole lunar like 28-day process?
All I can speak is from my absolute truth and that experience. And for me, as a 30, will be 31 next month from now. It's only been a few, pardon the pun, it's only been a handful of months that I've managed to make it the whole way through, you know, because we're bred in a society where sex is prevalent, porn is prevalent, and partners are increased to get together and have sex on the regular. Myself, also, after choosing not to take part in masturbation and the twin flame relationship, I know I talk in very, very riddles, uh, but, uh, but we'll get back to that in a second. I went for months of non-masturbation, and then it still comes out in wet dreams, you know, and it's a muscle, and our mind is very active, and even so much to the degree that when we're walking down the street all the time, regardless if we're in a relationship or not, we're attracted to monarchs and deities within the female race. Like, oh, she looks like Beyonce. Oh, she looks like my mum. Oh, she looks like the school teacher. And we just get attracted. And so we start thinking, are we going to see them as human beings, or are we going to see them as sexual beings? And that puts out an energy frequency. And
Oh,
that's a frequency which is vibrationally used by churches and by spheres, and this is what gets sucked up, and it takes away our creative energy because this is what offends many people that I grew up with, which got me penalized from speaking my truth, and that is where all sexual beings. And they said, "Oh, you're just a pervert." I was like, "Well, that may be so, but no more perverse than you dirty bugger. We're all sexual beings, and it's okay. So don't poo-poo me, and I won't poo-poo you. I'm not doing anything you don't do behind closed doors. It's just I have Uranus conjunct Mercury, so I'll tell you the truth about it, sunshine."
bam. That's very, very, very well put. I just can't. I I've been so humbled, to be honest. Like, I really thought the the self control of lust, and not getting so caught up in the own cunningness of my shadow. I thought it's something I can go cold turkey. I didn't realize it'd be one of the most difficult things to really harness in my entire life. Which
Yeah,
is just
man. Well,
like,
that
wow.
must. I must say, it did actually become a little bit easier over the past couple of months after a few months of trying. In the sense, not that I'm going to get again my trumpet out and start celebrating and playing a song, but like I found that after a while, it would be when doing broadcasts, making videos, or even sitting down doing some art, or even going out dancing, that then I'd release a bit of seed. I'd found like I'd released some semen and I was a little bit moist. Like, how would a dude get moist? Oh, your girl in the movie. Oh my God. The teddy bear's on the screen and the girl in the movie gets wet. But now the dude's gone out and he's played some drums and he's got a bit of a wet bell end. It's a different story we've never seen on TV and or on YouTube. This is the frontier of psychology and reality.
Well, the
Dudes can
Lonely
get wet
Island,
too.
the Lonely Island predicted this back in the day with their hit song "Jizz in My Pants." Went to the store and I saw a cashier and she looked at me and she gave me my receipt and I jizzed in my pants and it was like, yeah, crazy. But yeah, I agree.
Well, that's that scenario because I wore my mum. This is like I want to come out. Like I'm not like coming out. I'm not coming out as a gay man or anything like that. I'm just coming out as a man who did go down to the store in his mother's underwear. Whether I jizzed in the pants or not might have been an age thing. I think I was too young at the time, but that's the kind of shit. Bring
Yeah.
it out.
No, it's great that you mentioned that because I'm not gonna lie, like there was a period um before I went to this deeper facet of this Kundalini awakening where like I would just have wet dream after wet dream. It was just like a phase. Like I didn't have it before and it would just kind of and I got the sense that the meaning behind that, the reason why it's kind of hard for both the masculine and feminine is like a lot of that sexual release is releasing like a whole lot of energy. Um,
Yeah. No. Well, do you think do you think it is because we're being leached upon? Sometimes I think that I sometimes feel defeated and deflated and like, oh, I was trying so hard. I got to do something.
yes, yes, it always feels like defeat is the right word. Like, damn, I thought I could win this time.
3 days, 3 days, and it would have transited my son. You bastard.
You messed it up. And it always comes at like the perfect time when you least expect it and it's just like oh no.
And it's all Neptune until you feel that you're soaked. Jeez Louise. I mean, you're just still in your daydream. You're still in your bliss, and then you feel that you're absolutely drenched with wetness and sogginess, and you just need to get up. But then there's a sense of proudness. There's a fair amount of moisture which has been mustered there, and there's a fair amount of applause to go with that too.
True. Neptune gives and takes. That's what I will say. It might take more than it gives, but it
Yeah,
is what it
well, it
is.
swings of roundabouts, and I don't think what you can ever miss what's meant for you. And we're still all pioneers in this field. And as we practice privately, it's not like we're all doing anything that anybody else hasn't done before. But as we speak about it, we encourage the freedom for each of one of us to have less shame with regards to these kinds of scenarios. I mean, we've had a quagmire of that, and as again, that's something we need to let go of.
Oh, definitely. Um, I'm really excited more to practice sexual purity myself. But let's shift and transition into the game I always play. We will take turns asking each other 3 questions. So you'll start, you'll ask me a question, I'll answer it, I'll ask you a question, you'll answer, and then you'll ask me a question, and we'll just go 3 rounds.
Okay. If you don't mind, I'll just take a moment. All
Oh,
right then. What was the last acquisition you made that made you super proud? Be it a food purchase, be it a technological purchase, or be it a fashionable purchase, or glutton. What was your favorite, most recent purchase?
oh wow, that's a really good question. Um, I'm not gonna lie. Because I feel like I've had this moment pretty recently, and I feel like I'll have it again. And I'm a very simple man, so the most recent purchase that I had was certain chicken fingers and orange soda that just came at just the right time because like I was so hungry. I guess because of this energy, like I don't necessarily like eat. Like I guess I'm gonna work on my schedule. Maybe that's gonna change a lot, but I will just binge eat at night, and I was just in a good mood. This was my way of celebrating because I'm transitioning out of becoming a hermit. So my way of celebrating with my Venus and the Taurus is like I don't want to. I don't want to kind of diss Taurus because I don't. This isn't really Taurus behavior. I think this is my Gemini like misabusing this Taurus. But my idea of celebrating is, you know, binge eating on junk food, and I mean that was just hidden. I had it with ranch, and that just really made my heart really happy. But on a
Like
more
I
serious,
completely love that. Like that's so cool because it's about celebrating you and what you deserve.
no, definitely, and
Especially with the ranch. Like, have you heard of the wood chip grill? Because like my partner Julie, which I haven't finished talking about yet, she lives in Southern California, and she's visiting for the first week. I last saw her in February, and the way you've been describing your twin flame relationships has been bang on.
oh,
You know,
thank God. It's good to have that confirmation because sometimes, like, I don't have like Virgo, Sag, or Pisces. So I really will just say what I sense, but I never always
no,
have.
no, no. You, I was like flabbergasted. Like, do I dare listen more?
Oh, wow. That's,
Seriously, we both listen to it in private, and we both get our like confidence from it, and are like, oh my gosh, Jesus Christ. I don't know if she says that language, but that's me. You know, that's just me. But like, we are very opposing, but very the same, and we
yeah.
love each other so inseparably, but yet there's things that come out of each other's mouths, or sometimes the way that we try and help each other can sometimes be the way that really, really upsets each other the most.
Yes. It's like everything you are, your twin is not. And so it's like
Yeah.
almost
Oh, who
why
said
you.
it in the chat earlier? I forgot her name. I'm sorry, because she did ask the question, but I'm so invariable the way I describe things. I completely went off the subject.
I'm used to it. Gemini, I live that life. It is what it is. But yeah, so I want to make sure I feel like the question you just asked me, I'm going to answer in the future. That's why it was hard for me to answer because like I know I will make a purchase, a very important purchase soon. But other than that, like I always prioritize food. Food so far
Yeah,
is the only thing in my life that has literally just been like, oh my gosh. But then again, I'm a little bit crazy. So my question
I've got
for
a chocolate cookie, which I'm going to have after this interview with a cup of tea and a spliff. And that's going to be my rub on the back. And I'm sure I will have a rub on the back with my twin as well, even though we're going raw and deep. But like the cookie, you know, the self sustenance in that way, the way that you look out for each other with an orange soda, you know, that's real love for yourself. That's appreciation of knowing what you deserve.
nice. No,
Just
that's
as much as it is like when you've advanced your equipment, you know, that's
yeah.
another one, another example.
Oh snap! There we go. Advancement of equipment. That's something that I'm definitely ready to, you know, channel. But you know, or not channel, but step into. But my question for you is, I know you feel it, especially with your twin. This advancement and the huge, it's like the gateway and the doorway to stepping into the next level of these relationships. Is trust. Really trusting fully that like even though you have this very challenging connection with this person, this is the
But
same
I think
person.
there's a thing which we're looking into and beyond this
Oh,
veil, which we're not ready for. You know, we're not ready for this
okay,
trust.
we're not ready for this trust.
We're not ready for this trust because we want trustless. We want to be
Mm.
trustless. We want to be free to be able to be accepted completely and utterly for who we are. And we want to be able to love each other completely and utterly for who we are without segregation. Oh, I trust you to be this. Oh, I trust you can do that. It's the I see that you can do that and I appreciate you for that regardless. And we're looking for that union or a we're looking for not a need to trust. That's looking for something in the distance which is not quite there yet. It's a bit like hope. Please, sometime. No, thank you. I deserve it now, and so do you. See that you can deserve and provide that for me and provide for you, but together, and we've got some kind of stability, and that really works. And I'm really grateful for what you do, Master. But it's certainly complementary somehow to what I can do for you, and that's what brings us all together forward as one.
I just kind of love how you talk about the veil and then it starts to glitch again, which I always just see as stunning synchronicity.
Well,
So
I do encourage for people that had any glitches in the live stream. I think that often in the video it irons out a lot better. So rewatch it if there was been any problems.
usually, I just it's one thing to know, and that's the one thing that I love between Gemini and Aquarius. It's one thing to know, but it's another thing to experience and actually see this supernatural, which I feel was the past 4 years for us. Literally seeing the supernatural and people being on different levels of embracing it. I'm crazy over this shit.
All of it. You're, basically, we were talking about our twins. This is extreme. Like we say, we left in February from each other after spending 7 months together in California last year, and it was in summer this year that I travelled to California again, and at LAX, I was not. I was detained and sent back to England. It was conjunct Uranus.
Mhm.
Sudden, misforeseen happenings. But the way I saw it was sudden, radical changes to do with love. But you just can't be prepared always. Even the astrologers get it wrong. You just got to be prepared for acceptance, that radical acceptance. However, we've stayed together. We've spoken to each other every day. We share each other. We support each other. We argue together. We overcome together. We share each other's torments. We share each other's excitement. We share each other's shit. We don't even, but we go that stability. Some people might say that's over needy. So interdependence because we've got such freedom because of the vastness between each other. However, my partner finally came over to me, not from lack of willingness, but because she's a very busy lady, because she's got two children herself, and they are 7 years old and 2 years old, and her son, he is his son on the same degree as my son, so that's very cool. As well as pretty much there as a father for the younger of the two
Yeah.
from the very early age. So that's pretty cool. And so as we go in deeper, this week we've run away from each other about 3 times. We've shouted at each other, and it's been very in the face, in the face. We've also kissed and had the best sex of our lives. We've also shared some of the finest cuisine in the country, most the Indian. She's supported me, and I've supported her, and we continue to be together through the rough. No matter how much we try to escape each other, we know that the healing is to be in the fire. The purification is being with each other because we're somehow reflecting something divine, something beautiful, which we see and have always known. And we've done many, many times. And maybe it's unfinished, maybe it's unexplainable, maybe it's uninterpretable. But it's being within that dynamic which sometimes can be very scary and unsettling, which is actually truly where we're meant to be.
So well, beautifully put. What more can I even say? Um, that just kind of spoke to my soul right there. I'm not gonna lie. And uh that was just the first round of questioning. Shoot.
Well,
So
thank you for giving me the platform and confidence to do so, because like you know, I'm all up. There we go. I'm all about unifying perspectives. And if you do enjoy my perspective, I'm happy to host anybody on my site, any astrologers, anybody holistic fit healers, and I've got a website www.unifyingperspectives.com. And I appreciate Mystic Illuminations, the Peace Dealer, working with me anytime now and in the future. Thank you, Michael.
I have the link to your YouTube channel below. Is it possible? Do you have the link to your website on your YouTube channel too?
It is there. I intend to get with my organisation and make it more visible for people, but it's www.unifyingperspectives.com. Thank you.
Sweet.
Much appreciated. I mean, like, I think we all rise together in this scenario, and we're all working together, and we've all got great, not just ambition, but success written all over the message that we're sharing.
Yeah, and I would totally recommend you guys hit his website up. We'll talk about that really soon as well. But yeah, could now we're on to the second round of questioning. So what is your second question?
My second question is, what are you going to put on your green screen behind you? Is it going to be floating graphics? Is it going to be charts? Is it going to be a multitude of different things? Because you're really slick at your presentations and your webinar, and really like your Peace Dealer logo. And I'm not trying to infiltrate or steal any ideas. I just really think that whatever you do would be complementary to your style as it is. And if it's Smash Brothers, I'd love to have a game with you on that screen. And I'll be young Link, and we'll go right ahead.
You know what? I need to get that console. I have it on the 3DS. I have the handheld Smash Bros, but I would have to really get that game, and it's a worthy investment because I love that game. But actually, no, I do. If I have my Wii with me, I do. But I really need to learn how to do this live because the green. I want to put maybe like a backdrop of the planets. I'll keep it definitely simple. I'll be the messenger channeling space vibrations. But if there really is, by the way, I'd be Dr. Mario because Mario, Dr. Mario, I gets it in the fundamental one right there. But yeah, I'm not really sure.
Pharmaceutical.
Anything's possible, but if there's a way I could use the green screen while I'm live, that will change the game because you'll see me just using it a lot. I'm sure there's a way, so I'll look into that. But yeah, you'll just see me
You're a pioneer. You're on
top
the fringe, and I
information.
love the way you do your style.
Appreciate you. Um, yeah, I'm gonna look into that since tonight. I know there's a way to edit it in, but I never really thought about being able to use a green screen live. So we'll see. I'm not I'm not sure why not. But my second question to you is, what is your favorite conspiracy theory? And it doesn't have to. You don't have to believe it's true. It could be something you don't even believe is true. But what's your favorite conspiracy theory?
Well, I knew straight away. I knew as soon as you asked me because it just set me of. I was firstly, it was like, wow, what an awesome question. And secondly, is of course it is, of course it is, and I love them. Um, I've got to go around the houses a little bit before I get there. I'm afraid, if that's all right, but only minorly. It's not going to be a whole detour. First, the first conspiracy theory which I came into, which really opened the doors, was actually the simplistic Alex Jones Obama deception. That was one of the first things that opened my doors. It was like 2008 or something like that, 2009, I'm not sure.
Oh, right when you got
But yeah, that really opened my eyes to like looking into things before, because I was just escaping and getting into acid and things and drugs and doing cocaine and getting drunk.
The
Before that,
early 2000s. Yeah.
that was my route. But then thankfully, I found this as a better way to just relax and chill out and watch loads of documentaries. And but I soon tuned out of the fear-based documentaries. You know, it took a little while, a year, 18 months. I like because I got hooked on the adrenaline rush, but it wasn't soothing. I wanted to relax and find something I could connect to. And so, like, I was going into like obviously slightly touch astrology, but I really wasn't quite grounded within that at first. It was a bit too much and a bit too airy fairy for me at first. It's like, how could it be? As a Capricorn, I really wanted to have it proven before I started investing in that.
Yeah.
And so I went around the houses. I went and investigated a few things. But one of the first things that really grasped me, before I talk about that, I'm going to talk about the two buffoonery ones. I mean, I don't think dinosaurs or space. I think they're conspiracies. But
You
that's
don't
the
think
story for
dinosaurs what?
dinosaurs or space. I think they're both conspiracies.
Oh, you don't believe dinosaurs existed. You don't believe there's been space.
I don't
Um,
think there's space. No such thing
like
as space.
there's no planets in the sky.
I think that they're more like spheres of influence, which are in the um, ancient cosmology. People knew about it a lot more, and it's only the recent globalists, the globalist theories that have brought around these ideologies. It's not so much that we're on a spinning disc in space, so much that more that we're on a fixed Earth, and that's the be all and end all. And we're like an incubator for souls. We're a womb, as I said earlier, and all of the other energies are our chakras. They're energy fields that run through each one of us as spiritual, multidimensional beings of influence ourselves, which can
Mhm.
birth our own womb of creation. Each one of us are the center of our own universe, the one verse. And it goes so much deeper than a student like I could take each one of us, as I'm sure many of the viewers are aware themselves, as well as yourself. However, like it's all about coming together and still continuing this exploration of what this experience is as we learn the mechanics of this reality. But anyway, what you asked, what was the question? Sorry.
What was
Um,
your um, because like I, as far as like space not existing as we are.
oh, I remember your favorite conspiracy, but I want to know what you think
Yes,
about
yes,
that.
yes, yes.
Can you
Your
ask me about
favorite.
space first, if you want?
Oh, my bad. Yeah, their favorite conspiracy, but also like, which I think this talk is fascinating because it reminds me of a philosophy class I had, in summer school a while ago that was speaking of how do you know, like the whole main purpose of the philosophical context we'll be speaking is how do you know? How can you philosophically argue your way out of believing that your brain is not in a vat and this is
Well,
just a simulation?
the reason that the space and dinosaurs thing got me so much is because that's the
Do
thing
you
we're
believe you
sold
can see the
most.
planets? Like how Venus
Okay,
and Jupiter was visible. Is is that really Venus and Jupiter? Is the moon really real or is it just a
I
creation?
think I think they're like nodal points. Like if you know, if you get a
Mm.
tube, like a tube of water, and you've put a light through the tube, and there's an air bubble in the tube, and the air bubble illuminates, and they're like a nodal point where the planet might be, like the most centralized point of energy within that sphere of influence.
But instead of there being like galaxies and different universes, right?
But I also think that they're not just like there's definitely then I wouldn't believe that they're physical objects. They're energetic electromagnetic
Mm,
fields of influence. They're dancing energies. They're chakra points which resonate with each one of us in our bodies, as well as different star systems where whole planes exist. Yes,
plain.
yeah, yeah,
I
but
really
different yeah planes like realities.
I got the sense that thoughts come from the universe, but not like space. It's kind of more like these quantum realms you're talking about, like what we think as thoughts, they're just kind of coming from.
I
We
think
have
they're like entities. Like we like if we was to build a fort, they become an entity. If we were to come together and say, all right, we're going to come together and we're going to make a kids' TV show about astrology and educate and indoctrinate and explain the nature of their energy flowing through them and using characters, that would be our own um, that would be our own entity that we've created. It's our own platform, just as much as a car, a website, or whatever idea that we came together to bring around. It becomes I think there's a particular word for it. It's actually a name of a ghost, a Gregor. A Gregor.
mm,
Do you know the term?
a Grego?
Or Gregor.
Gregor. Not familiar.
I think an egregor, and it's like an entity, a thought form which takes mass of its own, and it's separate in another, in the other realm, the non-physical realm. And so, if other people can contribute to it, and so when you really amass a great deal of people, like for instance WWE, WWF, they were a wrestling company for many decades, and eventually they put their stock towards the market. And those are people who didn't care about wrestling or performance, started investing into the company, like they do many other companies similar. And before you know it, there's those are people putting money into this entity who really don't care about the beneficial aspects of the entity from where it originally came from. So it can lose control of itself and become a
Mm,
maniac,
okay. You're just feeding
a
into
Hulkamaniac.
a Hulkamaniac. Oh God, this is
Yeah, it
getting
just
close.
becomes so big that it's controlling. Like, even like an idea of a family or a bank, you know.
Interesting.
So this is why integrity has to come back into the sphere of these things. And
Yeah.
this is what Pluto's doing right
Yeah.
now.
Heavy, 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 especially with the Scorpio revelations. Oh my gosh, we're
So
gonna get this
I've got my
revelation.
third question for you if you wanted to.
Please go ahead.
My third question is, I mean, I've not like studied it too much, but I know that between our two charts, we've got quite a lot of, although there's a few very complementary aspects, there's quite a lot of squares or stiff oppositions in some scenarios. And in a sense, we're not exactly found it easy to suddenly go, okay, this is going to do this, this is going to do this. But I think that this is a grand opportunity for us to actually come and bring something together in the astrology world, in the world of spiritual healing, in the community, in a prosperous manner. And just from that statement or question or ponderance, from observation of the dynamic, I wonder what your curiosity could lend to that on a live open stage.
All right. And yeah, I feel like us coming together and really contributing our experiences is to be honest, a very powerful level of real life case study, shutting the hell up out of these stupid ass pseudoscientists. And I'm calling these pseudoscientists, these self proclaimed physicists and astrophysicists who still call astrology fake, even though there's been case studies out, and even though the whole notion of the ecliptic and the Tropic of Cancer and Capricorn and the precession of the equinoxes really helped a whole lot of this craft gain legitimacy before it was just bastardized by lies and illusions and actual propaganda like the 13 sign astrology articles, which has been disinformation from the start, acting like a 13th constellation was discovered when there's more than 12 constellations. They just want to confuse people. So I think we're going to get together to bring real experiences, and one of the greatest things our generation will bring is like a living, breathing, ongoing case study of how real astrology is, to where we all contribute our time of birth, date of birth, and we say, hey, I'm a Gemini with this moon, I'm a Scorpio with this moon, and we can put 100,000 people or 1,000 people and see how the MCs of these people correlate to what they're doing. The thing that's crazy is we've had this proof for years, but they don't want us to get together. So I think that's the most beautiful thing you said. Like, it's going to be us getting together. The whole Tower of Babel story, we're going to come into the knowledge of who's been lying and whatever once we all get together. And that's going to be the glory of this age of Aquarius.
I agree that perfect. Yes, and I think that if we can let go of telescopes so much, like the astronomy, which is looking at the segregated, separate observation blown up, and get people together sharing a thermosys and sharing emotions, sitting in cafes, vulnerably talking to each other about how they are, who they are, and where they're at. That will allow us to tap into each other and where we want to take our lives, whether it's on a professional level or on a personal level.
Amen. Very fascinating question. And my last question to you is do you drink your own urine? No, I'm just joking. Someone said in the chat. My
I,
question to you,
I have done
I've
mixed with cider, not on its own. But
experimentation is never bad. Experimentation is never bad.
it was after a game of football and I was very thirsty. But you know, Ralph Harris, who actually was a proven paedophile quite recently, he drank his own urine because it was known to be very healthy. But you know, that's the Scorpio in that was actually the Saturn at the end of Scorpio transit when all the paedophiles came out from that BBC ring. Anyway, another story for another day.
no, it's cool too because like there's a lot of psychologically like there's more water in urine, right? So it's not really the whole notion of drinking one's urine is not disgusting, to be honest. I personally don't do
Well,
this, but I could see how it could cause people to like think like, oh, what is going on, or some people who just go straight into it. But my real question to you,
I want your real question, but there is such a hullabaloo with health, like like such a mystery and demystifying that needs to go on with health. My partner, the twin flame, Julie, the twin flame, my partner, my love, she recently had a fast, and not just this has been Virgo season. She had a fast, not just with food, but also with doing dry fasting, which apparently is a very healthy way to detoxify your liver.
mm,
And then when you piss yellow and you piss out all the flakes, it's actually the healthiest thing for you. And it's the
ooh,
opposite of what we get taught. And so we need to reestablish this shit. And that's what we're going to see. And reaffirming and talking about it is going to bring it out so people become aware of it. So, guys, if you think about doing any fasting around the new moon, the best time is the best time not to eat for around those 36 hours either side when there is no moon, the sky in the sky whatsoever. Not an actual moon, no physical anything. But anyway, so why would you want to eat anything? Well, how are you going to digest that in your physical body that the moon represents? Well, I would know because sometimes we just fill it with emotional habits and gorge on cookies. But that's a story for another day, which we can.
I
That's
was
a story for another day. It's the truth, though.
yeah.
But anyway, so but also with the wet fasting, just before you ask me that question, is that if you go for 12 hours, you're probably going to be asleep of them for 6 to 8 anyway. But when you finally do go for a piss, you're actually your organs, the liver, which makes you live longer, pisses out the flakes, and so you see the big thick yellow piss with lots of flakes, which is actually the crap, which was actually clogging your filter, which makes you live longer. So when you get rid of that, you actually are much healthier.
When you get
And it's
rid
done
of
with much research. Check it out, guys. It's not just me. Check yourself out.
when you get rid of that. And that's the one thing I'd like you all to embrace moving forward in a period of time where more lies are going to be exposed like never before, at a structural level, not necessarily random people, lies that we've been fed. So everything that gets revealed before you really just believe it, research it yourself, like actually research it yourself and then make the decision. But my question for you is, what are your three favorite zodiac signs and your three most challenging? And it doesn't even have to be signs. It could be like energies, like Mars in Taurus or Sun in Taurus. And either way, bro.
Okay, that's cool. Well, my three most favorite are Gemini,
Yay.
Sagittarius,
Yay.
and and Aquarius.
The three best zodiac signs ever? Oh, I don't know about Aquarius, but
Ding ding ding
yes,
ding ding.
Gemini said.
You ask me another day, it might be different, but that's the way I feel right now.
Yeah, that's real. That's real. It should usually always change. That's real. I believe that.
Yeah, I've got a stellium in my third house, which is a Sagittarian third house with Mercury conjunct Uranus. So that pretty much sums that all up.
How
But you
about
know, my favorite three least ones are the ones that really get me going the most, and they are Pisces, Virgo, and Leo.
Hmm.
I've got Pisces in the sixth house, which is the Virgonian house, and for me to get my shit together has been really something of an ongoing pursuit for all of the decades I've been alive. However, as I've done it, it's become a real joy and something which I'm mastering. And as mastery becomes a challenge as well, like you got to keep going at it. And so I enjoy that challenge. And with the Leo, is it's so hard to rein in because you sometimes I'm very shy as a Cancer midheaven and as a Sun in the fourth house, and so I can be quite reserved. But when I do let myself loose, I'm like I'm a lion out of the racetracks, you know, and I'll be so boldly going along, pridefully pounding forward that I'll forget that I'm pummeling everyone next to me sometimes. And so, you know, I need to remember that as a Leo out of the racetracks, we've got to try to help the other lions along at the same time. So we can all shine together.
Amen. We really can all shine together. Um,
Amen.
yeah, I think that was just amazing because every single time, every single time, um, Virgo is the one zodiac sign in the history of this peace talk series that has showed up over and over in the most challenging like zodiac sign, like almost every
I
episode. I
know.
think
I've
even a
watched every
Virgo chose
single
Virgo.
one of them on purpose. It's just so by I've got Virgo in the 12th house, but sometimes again with that 12th house becomes great mastery. You don't often know what you're good at in the 12th house, like seeing the details that others might miss, but at the same time, details where I'm a complete cluster. I mean, I don't want details. I'm fairly good organizer in my own clusterfuck. But if I'm asked about how I'm doing it or whereabouts I'm doing it, even where I'm going, it really, really makes me lost.
Snoo snoo. Amen. So I guess to close off, what is how can people contact you and what services do you offer? You mentioned
It's a, I,
the
firstly, I tell them why they should contact me. And
yes.
I should say that if you feel that you resonate with me and why you should have the urge to contact me, it's because you're looking for somebody who can hold space for you and hear where you're at. Maybe you're actually someone who's quite shy yourself and you don't want to be listened to, but I can do either listen to you or speak. The reason I'm good at listening to you is because I will accept you. And the reason that you want to listen to me talk about you is because I will accept you. And I'll tell you all about you that you're not willing to hear, for better and for worse. And that's exactly what you need. And very often it's going to leave you with a sense of jovial buoyance that you ever think that you came here to do so, because I will make sure that you're empowered to go
Mm.
on the journey which you know you came here seeded to do so. You know, it's all about just telling you that you've done everything that you're meant to do and you're on course, which you know you truly are, and I'm here to give you that encouragement.
Man, and you can definitely contact Phil below with the unifying perspectives. I have his YouTube channel up there too. Definitely very, very insightful, positive. I mean, you can already tell he definitely held it down. So
My biggest thing is vulnerability. You know, like I'm happy to share the biggest wounds, like anything that you've got, you feel that you're insecure about. That's actually your opportunity. For me, it can be to do with dietary habits, which really comes down to self love and taking care of who you are, and to make sure that you're heard and don't sell yourself short to other people. I think that's the
amen.
biggest thing, standing up for what you believe in, and to make sure that you give as much love to you first before anybody else.
A fucking man. Love it, love it, love
Thanks
it.
to you, Michael, for being you, because you're I love you.
Likewise, brother. Definitely enjoying the sun moon conjunction. Super real. And yeah, y'all
Well,
make sure you
Sun Moon, we're bringing
what
new beginnings in the structure. It's a new moon for everybody every time we come together.
oh, that's how it works. So it is truly a connection, new structures, which I feel like is the most incredible because it's a system that'll sustain the if not the world itself, definitely support. So once again, y'all make sure you hit up Phillip, check out his website, and catch me tomorrow. I'll be going live, and episode 53 will also be coming out soon. So thank you once again, Phillip, and
Thank you, Michael.
y'all stay blessed and peace.